I'll just start by saying thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you, Dave, for taking the time to share from your knowledge and your wisdom and your art forms and culture with us. I think what I'd like to do to start while we're letting everybody into the meeting is let's just very briefly go around. If everybody can just say hello and say your name and where you're joining us from today, and then we'll let Dave take it from there. Okay. And just so everybody knows, this is just a really informal presentation today. We're going to be doing a full retreat in September from the 25th to the 30th of September on Kauai with Dave, and we're going to be crafting our own drums and medicine objects and things like that. So if anybody is able to join us in Kauai in September, that would be great. You can get the full thing, but today we're just having a little intro. So, all right. So, Narini, why don't you go ahead and just say hi, and then we'll go around in the circle, and we'll end up with Dave and let Dave take it from there.
Okay. Hi, I'm Narini. I have just relocated to Sydney. Actually, I'm a New Zealander, part Indigenous New Zealander, and I've relocated to Sydney, and I've got quite a few sound therapist offers on the table as well. So that's really cool for me. I love the sound, and merging that with some shamanism. So I'm really happy to be here.
Great. Thanks, Narini. And Katie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Moran. I am right now in Austin, Texas. Just finished the intermediate training and did the foundations there on Kauai. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks, Katie. And Willie?
Hi, everybody. I'm Willie. I'm here on Maui. And I have really been enjoying my shamanic journey lately. And I'm working on my ancestral wisdom here, and it's taken a while, so I'll get it done, Scott. Thank you.
Hey, no worry, it takes its own time. It's on its own time. So thanks, Willie.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jimmy. And I'll just I'll just note when you're done speaking, if you guys could just mute yourselves, because we have a lot of people on the call and we want to make sure that there isn't feedback. So go ahead, Jimmy.
Hi, I'm Jimmy. I'm here in West Texas, close to Midland, and I am in the advanced class, just started, and I'm excited. I've been on my healing journey since before I was born. That's it.
Thanks,
And I've had my drum too for a little over a year, and then I've made my rattle too, or cured my rattle. Somebody else had it and it was just sick.
Right on. Thank you, Jimmy. Rebecca?
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I am in Vashon Island, which is a little island west of Seattle in Washington. And I did like Katie, I did the in-person retreat on Kauai. When was that? In October, November. And I'm doing just finished the intermediate, and I'm going to start the advanced at the end of this week. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I have to share that I'm so grateful that I did the shamanic training, because I recently have been through this kind of like dark night of the soul 5-week ordeal of like excruciating end stage of labor level pain. And the only way that I survived it, we are not meant to survive that much pain for that long. The only way I survived it was by having journeying as a tool. And I had like the spinal procedure yesterday, and I was awake for it, but I journeyed through the whole thing. And like, I just am so grateful for journeying as a tool, like in all of the ways it can be a tool.
Yeah.
So profound gratitude for this program. And I'm very actually excited about this today, because I'm very excited to connect with David and get a drum made, because I live in Washington, not too far.
Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie. I'm in Ventura, California. I just recently completed the advanced training and I'm starting to create my own practice. I'm excited to be here, and that's it.
Thanks, Melanie. And Yarrow?
Hi, I'm Yarrow, and I come to you from my full-time RV living in California. I'm from San Jose, so I don't want to live in there anymore. But I have to work there, and so I live in my RV, and I go into town for work, and I'm planning a big move to Kauai in a year. So I have been diving into some shamanism studies and practices throughout the pandemic, but I did start before. The pandemic just helped me dive a lot deeper. So I as well am very grateful for it, for my own stuff in life. And I am also a holistic healer, so I've been allowed to use it to help some of my clients as well. And I just love everything about it. I really do. So I'm just excited to be here. I've been wanting to work with y'all for a while, so I'm here. I'm ready. So
thank you, Yara.
To share with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Chantel.
Hi, I'm Chantel. I'm in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, so it's still cold here. Wishing I was in the sunshine. I came upon your site because I was looking for a drum, and I messaged David, I think a week ago, and I think we're just kind of going back and forth in emails. It's just the next step. So I'm here to learn and observe and be.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. And I see Miriam.
Hi, I'm Miriam. I live in Boston, Massachusetts. I work as a shamanic healer, and I love painting drums and working with the spirits of my medicine tools, and I'm always looking to learn more. So I was really excited when I saw this opportunity. So thanks for opening it up.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Miriam. And Christy?
Hello, I'm Christy. I'm in Auckland in New Zealand, and I recently completed my advanced shamanic training. And yeah, these tools have been amazing, especially through this kind of chaotic time that we're riding here in the world. So I'm very grateful to have these tools, and I use them in my holistic practice as well. And yeah, it's nice to connect with you all and see some familiar faces here from some of the courses, and Narini and Libby. So yeah, nice to see you all.
Thanks, Christy. And oh boy, everybody's moving around my screen now. I can't remember who already introduced themselves. Gillian, you haven't gone yet.
Hi everyone, I'm in the Snowy Mountains in Australia, and I've studied a lot of shamanic and alchemical and advanced shamanic studies for years, and you're just interested to hear what's going to happen today. So thanks, Scott, and hi everyone.
Thank you. Roberto.
Hi, I'm Roberto. I live in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, and I finished the advanced course a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very excited about this training. I've always wanted to learn how a drum is made and everything that goes into it. So excited.
Thanks. Thank you. And Sonia.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sonia. I am in Indianapolis, not Indianapolis, Columbus, Indiana. So again, it's still cold. You see me with a sweater on. So I envy those in warm weather. I just finished fundamental classes, which was awesome. And I found out about this course. So I am looking forward to it, to learn more and involve myself more in this. It's awesome. And I love how it's awakening things in me and helping me understand things that I didn't before. So it's nice to connect the dots and know that I'm
Great.
not weird.
Thanks, Sonia. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Okay, so we have a few more people on who don't have their picture up. If you wanna introduce yourself, please go ahead. If not, we'll let Dave go ahead and start. So, Dave, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and start? And anybody else, if you want to just jump in and say hi at any time, you're welcome to. Oh, I think I see Julia. Oh, hi, Julia. I haven't seen you on there.
Hi, I know. Hi, I'm Julia. I'm in just north of San Francisco, California, and I had the great pleasure of participating in the fundamentals class in Kauai when my family took the opportunity to move there last year for the year, but I'm back in California now and did the intermediate class online, and I'm just embarking on the advanced course. And I do have a drum I want to show everyone that Dave made, a beautiful, beautiful drum. I don't know if you can see it with my camera, but it has whales on it. And oh gosh, you can't really see it, can you?
There we go.
Background.
There you go. If you
It's
hold
gorgeous.
it right
It's a
up.
gorgeous drum, and I'm really looking forward to learning how to better care for it. And to be honest, use it more because I do my journeying in the morning before my family's awake, and I'm always afraid to make too much noise.
There you go.
But it's a gorgeous drum, and I'm so honored to have it. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Julia. Nice to see you. And I think it's Odette that has her hand up. You can go ahead and join us.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm Odette. I'm from Africa, Mozambique, but I live in Portugal, in Lisbon. I'm just starting my shamanic journey, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for staying up late to join us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave, why don't you go ahead and share and start it off.
Okay, well, hello, everybody. Is that everybody? Have we talked to everybody that's online, Scott?
I think there's a few people who haven't introduced themselves yet, but they might be driving and just listening, so.
Okay. Well, hello to everybody, and it's nice to see familiar faces and nice to see new faces of people. It's putting face to names, and anyway, it's good to see everybody. It's a good day up here. So, well, in talking about here are the drums, I guess Scott and I talked. I'll tell you a little bit about the history as I've been taught, the making of the drum, and then it's passed to you. So you're all drum keepers here. And so any information that you can gain about the drum from different cultures, it's all relevant. It all matters. So this is our way. And there are many different styles and types of drums, but and the origin stories of the drums differ. Our traditional stories that were passed down from Harlan Downwind and Jake Agoni from Manitoulin Island, Canada. They're old medicine keepers, and they told us that, or taught us that the drum came to the people through a woman. And it was a time that there was chaos in the camp, whether there was an attack, but they were hiding. They were fleeing the camp, and she ran into the river and hid underwater with a reed to breathe from. And she could hear people, rocks in the river, people running in the river, screaming. And she was panicking. And whether she started to drown, she had a vision. And later on, they said that the people found her in the water and they brought her out when things had calmed down, and she was alive. And she said, I had a vision, and she met with the elders and told them of what they needed. And she saw the first drum as a hollow log, and then how to wrap the deer or the elk hide around that, and how to prepare the drum. And she brought that teaching to the people. So the drum came to us through a woman's vision. And it's our teaching that a young girl, a female, should not build her own drum until they have become a woman, or before they have given childbirth. So it's after childbearing years can make drums, but that's because the woman brought that teaching and said the men should build the drum. And the drum is round. Everything is round. So it contains all of the powers of the universe are contained within that circle, our sacred circle. So from there, there are several ways to build a drum. And each tribe and culture, different continents, do different styles drums. But the main thing about our drums are that they are a tool of prayer. They are used before and with every ceremony. And now they are used to celebrate powwows, big powwow drums and hand drums. But as a keeper of that drum, your drums, and you're using them in a sacred way, the care and respect for your drum is extremely important. So how are we doing so far?
We're doing great, Dave. Tell us a little bit more about, building, what goes into it if you decide that you're going to make a drum. What's the first step?
The first step in making the drum, if I'm just to make a drum, first step is acquiring the hide. Up here in our area, we're in elk country, and I'm fortunate enough that I know many hunters, and they give me their hides, so that the animal is harvested or killed in a good way. Respect for that animal. We give thanks and try to use every piece of it. Fortunately, I get the green hides. A green hide is just the animal skin just taken off. From there, it needs to be stretched and all the meat or fat scraped off of the hide. So you just have a smooth hide. The hair is on the other side. I have a few of them in my freezer now. And so hair on in a plastic bag, frozen, and I'll get to them. So now I take them out and I'll put them in a big barrel full of water. And I can do about 2 at a time. And I soak them in that water for a few days. And we add some plants out here to the water. And there's a tannin or something in those leaves and bark that help to release the hair. And so after a couple of days, I can pull that hide out and put it over a log and take a draw knife, and the hair just will slide off. So then I have a piece of rawhide, skin side, and then the hair side, but stripped. So from that point, I can just stretch it out and dry it. And when it dries flat, then I can take a drum round and put that up, and I cut out a circle large enough to make that drum. The drum hide then has to be soaked in water for a couple, 2-3 hours until it's soft enough. And in every step, for me, you know, we cleanse and purify, giving thanks to the tree nation that the hoop is wood, and it's a gift from our plant nation. The elk, of course, or buffalo, horse, whatever the hide, you give thanks to that animal, and that their life, their spirit will continue, that there's a spirit in everything. Our elders have said everything, the rocks, the wind, everything has a spirit. The earth is a spirit. So in making that drum, we are continuing to hold that spirit of those things within the drum. Like I said, the entire universe and the powers of the universe, we are pulling into this sacred object. I tie up the drum, like many of you, you know, the back of it. It's wet. And I let it dry slowly overnight, and done. That's the physical. When you're doing it, I am asking for a blessing upon this drum, that it becomes a home for a spirit. Without, you know, it's just a drum. So I'm asking for and opening it for it to be a home that if and when and who, what spirit would call into this drum. And then I just let them sit. If someone like Julia, or really, you know, you asked me to make a drum, and I'm thinking about you the whole time that I'm making that drum, and putting good thoughts into every tie. And those ties are those strong ties that bind us as a community, and as a family, as we're all related, right? So that's the process of making the drum. Pretty durable after that. Where do I go from here? Because yeah.
I was just going to say, thanks, Dave, for sharing that. I think one of the things that I take away from that, from listening to you share that, is how we as a society, we as a people, are often very disconnected from the materials that we use every day, right? And if we look deeply into the process, you know, if I ask most people, well, how do you make a drum? They'll say, oh, well, you just get a skin and then you pull it, right? Whereas when you're sharing about the drum, the first thing is like, well, we have to have an animal. And then we have the hide, and we, you know, it's a green hide, and we tan the hide a certain way, and we add this to the water to be able to pull the, you know, to shave the skin off, and the lesson to shave the hair off the skin. And you know, it's really a good lesson for all of us to think deeply and not take for granted the materials that we have that come from the animal kingdom, that come from the plant kingdom. As you were saying, you know, giving blessings to the tree spirit, giving blessings to the spirit of that animal, and then, you know, asking for the drum to house the spirit of, you know, whether it's the power animals and spirit helpers of the person that is being made for, and the connection to that person that you're making it for as well. And so it teaches us to look, I believe, a lot more deeply at the things we use day by day, right? Even if it's my you know, a cardboard box that eventually came, you know, when you trace it back, it came from a tree, right? So everything came from part of the creation, from Mother Nature. Everything does have a spirit in it. And, you know, how often do we take that time to actually pause and contemplate that? So yeah, that's one of the things that I take away from what you were sharing.
Well, thank you, Scott. And I should back up just a little bit. You know, we all know that the drum, that heartbeat, it's the heartbeat of our mother, Earth, has a spirit. And when you play that drum and just do it at the heartbeat, like your heartbeat, it's very healing. Doctors are even saying that now, you know, that drumming is good. It lowers your blood pressure and all. Well, yeah, we knew that, you know. So it really can help you get connected in that heartbeat, you connecting to that drum and then calling that spirit that the helpers that are within that drum. The spirits want us to be happy, you know, they want us to live free. And you think of you look up and you see a hawk flying, you know, that's how we're meant to live, you know, not burdened down by bills and money and the system that we all live by today. It's stressful. And so to step out of that and remember not just the sacred things around us and where they came from, but our relation to all of that, you know, that we too are sacred on this planet. And sometimes all we have to do is ask for the help. They're there to help us and to teach us. So connecting to your drum.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Do you have a drum that you want to show us right now? Oh, I think JJ has a question. JJ, why don't you go ahead and ask a question?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say hello to everyone and to thank you for the opportunity for being allowed to be here and listen to this very special presentation. I just completed the fundamentals course and looking forward to the journey ahead and building some tools.
Great. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you.
Are you driving back from work right now?
I am.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Go ahead, Nareni.
Hi, Dave. When we make korowai in New Zealand, which are feather cloaks, and so obviously we have to do the same process. We have to, you know, harvest the feathers and put our intentions in, and karakia, which is a prayer. But we can be blocked. There are times when the korowai will not allow you to work on it because you're either not in a good enough space or the spirits have decided to stop you from doing it. Do you actually experience that when you're making drums?
What was the question?
Do you experience blocks at any time when you are making the drum? Like when I make feather cloaks, there are times when I'm not able to work on the cloak itself because spirit has stopped me from doing it. Perhaps I'm not in the right space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you had that, like if you've got a drum that you're about to make, but then you can't work on it anymore. I wondered if you had those blocks.
Always. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That interesting question, because I thought, is that spirit telling me, or is it that creative side where I'm not feeling it? You know, I'm not able to connect to it for whatever reason. I choose to think, yeah, a guide is saying, you know, something else. Work on this. Not that I stop working. I need to stop focusing on that for now. And I will go and work on something else that I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it with this one for whatever reason. But usually what I find is when I'm stopped for a reason and I listen to that and I work on something else, whatever I'm working on, that will help me answer a question that I had with the one that stopped me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I don't think it's a creative block. as much, or it is, but it's not a block. It's a redirecting me and accepting that and embracing that. And I'm grateful for that. A lot of people call it a creative block. I call it a redirection. I'm still creative, but there are days I'm just tired. So, you know, man, I'm not into anything today. I just want to relax. And those are days that you listen and you got to fill yourself back up. There's something depleted in me that I can't do today. It's like, not today. Not today. That it's time for, I need to fill up. And that's really important. If you're giving of yourself, it takes a lot out of you sometimes, you know. So it's important to listen to that and don't think of it as a block, a redirection. And sometimes it's directing you to right back to yourself. I need to be good to me today, you know. And then boom, the magic happens and you're off making the cloak again, and boom, you know, it's all in good time. You know, just trust that, I think. Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me. I kind of like that redirection that you said. As I've sat with the elders and, you know, gone, oh, I can't do it, they're going, it is not allowing you to do it. Either you're not in the right space, your intentions aren't good, or, you know, spirit is telling you to stop. But I like your redirection, you know, comment. I think that's really good, because it's either redirecting you to examine yourself where you are, and like you say, it is physically taxing because of the energy and the love that you're putting into it, or, you know, getting you to look at yourself or something. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. I'll look at it as a redirection. Thanks.
Yeah, and sometimes that's where they're saying, no, don't do anything. Take care of yourself. That's where we tend to, I think for me, I tend to forget that, ooh, my energy level is really low, and I need something. My body, spirits are telling me it's important for your own well-being and your health, you know, very important. And not to feel stressed out about that. Just listen to them. They want you to be happy, so they're helping you. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, thanks, Dave and Narani, for asking that question. That, you know, it's something we stress a lot with the 4 directions, and making sure that we, you know, hit that winter time and give it its time in the north, right? When we walk around in the cycles and we are in the north, you know, we tend to want to skip over that part and get right back into the active doing phase of things. And it's that self-care, that, well, I'd say movement on the inside while there's stillness on the outside, where we're resting, but it's incubating and we are rejuvenating ourselves. It's that rest and rejuvenation part. But as we're doing that, there's an incubation that's happening that then opens up the space for more creative energy to flow. It's kind of like just when you step away from anything, and then you can come back to it with better energy, rather than trying to, you know, force and push our way through it. Rather than using so much pushing, it's an allowance for things to happen. Yeah, thanks. Thank you both for sharing that. Dave, go ahead.
So you asked me if I have drums. Yeah, and Chantel, here's your drum. I was
ready to go.
Chantel, and I thought, oh, I should open it up and show her. And I thought, no, that would not be respectful to Chantel or the drum. So I have your drum, and yes, I'll send that out. But I thought it's for your eyes first, Chantel. So, but here, okay, here, well, just about everybody there has a drum, right? I mean, everyone's a drum keeper, right? So this is,
I don't actually have a drum. And I'm embarrassed to say this out loud to you guys. I have never journeyed drumming myself. I've actually never held a drum and drummed. I'm embarrassed to say. So I'm very excited for getting one. I'm very excited to get one, but talk to me like I'm a baby drummer because I've never even held a drum, which is terrible that I've made it all the way through intermediate, but I always use.
You held a drum when you were here.
I don't think.
I remember when we danced around in the circle?
Maybe.
Everybody had a drum.
No, I missed that one. Remember? I missed that one.
Oh,
and that was the one chunk I missed.
That you were out that day. That's
I
right.
was out that day.
Yeah. There it is. I'm corrected.
So I never have, and I've relied heavily on your drumming thing that your recording you've shared with us. And then if I want to take a longer journey, I found a few different drumming things on YouTube that I use. But yeah.
Yeah. Hey, no, thank you for sharing. Your honesty is refreshing, but don't worry about that. You haven't seen nothing yet. Wait till you start to drum. But you could do it by listening to drumming while you're journeying, or using anything to drum. You could drum on your own heart, or a rattle, even a little baby's rattle. Yeah, you're right where you need to be. But yeah, you'll be blown away when you start drumming. That's exciting. Good for you.
I don't have a drum either. I have a little bango, but I haven't really used it much. I mean, I beat on it now and then, but I need to find that connection. So I signed up to this class because I would love to get one of the type of drums that you make. So this is like a little learning for me to see how it all is.
Well, go ahead.
No, I just said thanks, Sonia.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting, knowing that there's just different levels going on here, and yeah, how cool that is. I look forward to when you guys, but if you're gonna be doing this type of work, like I said, these are like a drum. These are, can you hear that? These are tools of prayer. And so much in the healing way, shamanic way, it's through prayer. So there are tools that help to assist you with that. Like a mechanic has tools, a doctor has scalpels, a needle and thread, and everyone has their tools. So for a traditional practitioner, medicine man, medicine woman, shamanic healers, the tools that you need are necessary. A drum and or rattles, some type of a fan, feathers are important use. There are other like staffs or medicine sticks, some that are carved into a lizard or a snake to help for fertility, or something that's used for extracting, pulling out something negative. So those are all tools that are important for this practice. A drum or a rattle, I think, is start there, and then you'll learn as you go. But yeah, so that's the importance of the drum. And we're all on a different step on this path. So don't think you're going too slow, or you just don't go too fast, because you'll miss something, you know. Take it slow, absorb it all in, and understand it. Go too fast, we can miss something. So, so now kind of I guess, talk about are there any questions after that? And then we're going to kind of move on to like how to care for your drum.
Yeah, I actually just have a comment there, because I think what you said is very important about it's okay to go slow, but don't go too fast. Because if we do go too quickly, then we do miss things, and we end up having to circle back, and it ends up making it slower in the end. And so I know a lot of people, especially when I began teaching, people wanted to go straight from the fundamentals class to the advanced training. They go, I know how to journey, now I want to do soul retrieval and extraction work, and I want to start working on clients. And I'm like, well, there's this other part that we need to talk about first, which is self-care, self-protection, and personal growth. You've got to be able to walk that walk first before you hold that space for other people. And in the beginning, I actually had quite a bit of resistance from people about that. And they would say, oh, you know, nobody else makes us do that. Can't we just go straight? I already know what to do. I have very clear journeys. I can do it. And I'm like thinking, well, yeah, you can, but at what cost to yourself at the end of the day, right? For me, it's important that and everybody who is on this call who has already been in the coursework with me knows this, I want to make sure that if you're going to go out and offer yourself to be of service, that you're not doing it from a place of martyrdom, that we're doing it from a place that's sustainable. Not only is that really important for each person as an individual, but as a collective, that's really important as well. Because if all the people who are, you know, working in a positive light for service of others and service for the web of life are, you know, martyring themselves and knocking themselves out, that doesn't leave much left for the future. So it's a much longer, bigger picture that we have to make sure that we're working in a way that is sustainable for us, that maintains our health, our vitality, and our longevity. And a big part of that is not jumping ahead, is not going too quickly, because that's like having the top without a foundation, right? You don't put the roof on the house until you've built the foundation. And so that's really, I'm just glad that you shared that, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, very good point there, Scott. Personally, recently I was asked to assist with someone's passing, and they wanted a medicine man, and they called me, and I'm like, I'm not an Indian medicine man, you know. And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not. There are certain, like I have still so much to learn, and there are a lot of things that I do know, more that I don't, and there are things that I am comfortable with doing, but I have seen medicine being done, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I have also seen healers, no matter how protected they are, they have taken on that sickness, pulling something out of somebody, and then boom, they got very sick. We're working on somebody that was not quite honest with them, and so it's nothing to play around with. And there are some far advanced stuff that I will not do. If I open a door, I need to be able to close that door, and respecting what level am I at, you know, and knowing your level. Do not try to go beyond that quickly. From what you can get hurt, you can hurt yourself. So that taking care of yourself, getting all of your helpers around you, your mind, body, spirit times 100. That as you, and then you go on to the next. This isn't something to just play with. This is real. The spirit world is real. So we have to respect that. Respecting the laws of nature, I would say. I don't know what else. Respecting the law of nature. And nature, the spirits, they have no sympathy. It's nature.
Yes.
It is nature. So if we break the natural law, animals don't break that natural law. Humans do. We will push things, but wolf packs, elk herds, flocks of birds, they follow the law of nature. And you get off that, you get into trouble. So know your place where you're at. And Scott, I admire and respect what you are teaching because it's in a good way and one step at a time. And we're all on a different step of that path. So we at a time, and this has been a hard couple years for all of us. And we need our shamanic healers. We need our tradition. We need all of the indigenous people from around the world now more than ever. And now is the time, especially with what's happening in Ukraine and how it's affecting the world. We're seeing how tight we are, how connected we are. It's different. So now is a time. Now is a prime time. And I don't want to get into the prophecies, but prophecies are being fulfilled right now. So the importance of what each and every one of you are doing, I cannot express that enough. We need all the help we can get. We as a human race, we as a part of the connection here on Mother Earth, they all need us, and it's our responsibility. And I'm so glad to see women rising up and women taking the positions now to be healers. That's the way it used to be. Somewhere we got off track here, and this is vital. So I lift my hands to all the men that are following this, especially honor our women for picking this up and the power that our women hold. So hands lifted real high to you. Thank you. It's your time. And I think it's our women that are going to help us. It's our women that are going to save us. So there's a lot of chaos in the world, but I'm seeing a whole lot of mother happening. Mother Earth, mother, that healing, the nurturing. Thank you all for what you're doing. It matters. It really, really matters. So 1,000 chi miigwech.
Thank you, Dave. I know Christy wanted to ask a question, and then we'll let you keep going.
Thank you. That was a beautiful what you just said then, David. I also wanted to ask a question. I had a drum made for me by a drum maker here in New Zealand. I would have loved one of yours, but I realized that postage at this time is a bit of a nightmare getting from across the world to New Zealand. And I wanted to ask you, how do you create a connection with your drum when you receive it? Because I know when I received my drum, it wasn't like a straightaway connection. It was almost unfamiliar. And I'm just wondering if the drum maker who made my drum blessed it, but didn't really share how I should create that connection with the spirit of my drum. And I'm just wondering if that's something that you, could maybe talk a little bit on and share.
Thank you, because that you just reminded me of really what the first step when you receive your drum. What do you do now? You know, is your drum painted? Oh, wow, beautiful drum. What type of hide is that?
So it's made from a deer hide.
Here.
Mm.
Oh, beautiful. Yep. Beautiful drum. When you receive a drum or any item like that, when we do a sweat lodge, and I used to almost always take my drums before they're sent out and run them not through like a sweat lodge ceremony, but when the rocks are heated and the sweat lodge happens and everyone goes out and the ceremony's over, I like to take the drums in and call it like dusting them off, purifying them, cleansing them within the sweat. So then when I send them or they go out to the new carrier of that drum, it comes clean. Okay. But if not everyone's going to do that, so when you receive your drum, burn some sage. If you have some sage or cedar, burn that and prepare yourself and hold the drum, smudge the drum, and thank the drum and the spirits that you know, parts of their bodies were, you know, made the drum. So giving thanks for that. A very important thing to do is feast your drum. So maybe tonight, or I don't know. It's probably, I don't know if it's really early in Australia or really late, or it's summertime there and it's wintertime. I don't know. When you can, when you receive something like that tonight, take a little bit of, we call it a spirit plate, a little bit of your food, you know, a little bit of peas, a little bit of carrots, a little bit of meat, whatever you have, little bread, and you put that on a little plate, even like a large leaf, or we'll use a little birch bark bowl, a wooden bowl, and put it outside and give that to the spirit of your drum. You offer them food and a little water. Something will come along and eat that food. It doesn't matter who does. It could be a stray cat, a bird, a bear. That's really none of our business. But you're giving thanks. So putting a food plate out, a spirit plate, we call it, a spirit plate with a little food and water. And then, and you do that before you eat. Offer the food to them first. So thank you for bringing that up, because once that's done, when you break bread with somebody, you share a meal, right? It opens your heart, you know. So you're sharing a meal with the spirit of that drum, and you will feel a connection there. And then that's going to make you, this is what I was going to start talking about, but I'm glad. So thank you for taking me to that spot. But the drums, rattle, we treat them like a relative. Okay. They're, like I said to folks, like, don't throw your drum in the trunk, you know. You're taking off, you know, you wouldn't throw grandpa or grandma in the trunk, you know. Put the drum on a seat and have it spot for the drum. You respect that drum. Treat it like a relative, because it's there to help you. So now that's going to lead me into like the care of your drum. These are rawhide. There's no chemicals on them for a drum. You don't tan it. So if it gets wet and consistently stays wet, it will rot. It's animal skin. So moisture is not good for it. And you will start to smell it, right? If it's too moist, and it will be flat. And so that's rarely going to happen. The other most severe thing, damage to a drum, is direct sunlight. The direct sunlight, say you hang it on a wall, and for hours of a day, that sunlight's coming on the wall and hitting that drum. It's just like your skin. It's gonna crack, it's dry out, and not a good, I mean, it could split the whole drum. It just dries out and your drum is gone. So direct sunlight, not good. If you do start to see that, like if you turn over the back of the drum and where your holes are, if you're starting to see any stress and it's like too dry, you'll see little cracks on the hide, and they'll start out slow in the back. And so it's kind of inspecting your drum, doing a check over of the drum, making sure it's not cracking anywhere where those holes are, where it's been laced together. Those are stress points, and if it's too dry, it will start to crack.
And what would you do if you saw some of those little tears on the back of your drum, if you lived in a dry place, or your home was dry from heating, and you started to see those little micro tears?
First thing to do would be to I just saw a little note, would be to cool it down. And cool it down. It's just too dry. It needs quickly pour some water on the back of it, into the back. Pour some water in, or run it underwater. Just real quick. Give it a drink of water. That spirit is thirsty. It needs a drink of water. Water is life. So if your drum is too tight, give it some water. You're not going to hurt the drum at all, but it will relax it. It will start to absorb that. And then let it dry. And then if you see cracks, then not much you can do to reverse it. I'd recommend putting like a dab of super glue or something on that to stop it from spreading. So keep an eye on the drum, and if it does look like it's still too dry, then it's going to need some oil, just like lotion for our skin. Yeah, you could use. I like mink oil, or this is. It's just rendered bear fat. Not everyone's going to have bear fat, but it's just like oil, like coconut oil. And I got it on my hands. It's really good for you. On the back of the drum, inside, just rub some oil on it. Not on the face of it, not on the front, but in the back. That was the skin side, or whatever. Sometimes the skin side might be on the top, but that's going to absorb it quicker. It's a little rougher. You can tell that the skin side that had the meat on it is a little rougher. The hair side will be smooth. So give it a little. Like I'm just rubbing it inside. A little oil. Easy to do. Done. It didn't take long, and that will help your drum. Just giving it a drink of water.
Dave, is coconut oil okay if we don't happen to have rendered bear fat?
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have big dogs, and when they smell this on my hands, they go nuts. Coconut oil, mink oil, yeah, virgin olive oil. I would stick to something like that. I mean, if you were in dire straits, you would never be in that dire straits. But even like hand lotion, but there's chemicals and things in hand lotion. I wouldn't do that. I would just do pure coconut oil, and doing it on the back, and sometimes on the laces where you hold it in the back, and on the sides. You can do the front, but if you're oiling the front of it, and if it's unpainted and there's oil, like some type of oil on there, and you're adding that to it, it's the paint and the pigment won't stick to the drum very well. So, and if you have a painted drum, that could alter it. So you don't want to really do anything on, think of it as, like, and in playing the drum, we don't hit it right in the center hard, because that's the heart of the drum. So we play it around the edge. But the center, the heart, you want to be gentle with that. If you're going to hit it really hard, do it off down here and not in the center. It's again just having respect for it as a that makes sense too. Okay.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, I'd just like to comment on a question that was asked on the text feed. Lynette was asking about djembes, which are West African drums, and she was saying, well, aren't the djembes connected to the ancestors as well? And I'm saying, well, yes, of course, all drums that are made traditionally would be connected with the ancestors, whether it would be a djembe or a Celtic drum or a Native American drum or taiko drum.
Are those the drums that are like hourglass shaped?
Yeah, the large West African, like that kind. And so what I was just explaining though with Lynette is that traditionally in West Africa, where the djembes are used, it's a different type of trance. So they do call obviously the ancestors. But in the West African drum and dance, generally it's a possession trance rather than a journeying trance. So in what I teach and most of what I've been doing in the shamanic world is we journey out from our body to the upper or lower world, or sometimes to the non-ordinary aspect of the middle world if we need to do something in the middle world plane. But we're leaving our physical body, our spirit is leaving our physical body to meet with other spirits, and everything is happening outside. So my spirit is leaving to meet with other spirits, and then I'm bringing my spirit back into my body at the end. Whereas in West African drum and dance, this is a possession trance. And so what's happening is they are calling through the drum for their ancestors or the other spirits to come take possession of the drummer and of the dancer. So the spirits drum the drummer, the spirits dance the dancer. Okay, and that's a very different thing when you're calling something to come and into your body, and you're calling an outside spirit into your body is very different than when you take your spirit out of your body to interact in the spirit world. They're two very different things. And for me personally, I would not recommend doing much possession trance work, because we don't want to establish that pathway or that highway for spirits to come in and take possession of our physical body, especially today, especially now in the world. We have there's a lot of spirits out there that are trying to take control of other people, and that's not a positive thing. So we don't want to establish that pathway and say, well, that's okay for that to happen. It's much better for us to interact in the spirit world by leaving and coming back and making sure that our body is protected in that process, rather than inviting something to come in. So I just wanted, since it came up, I wanted to clarify that. And Dave, if you have anything that you want to add to that, that would be great.
Well, I don't know much about the African drums that are, but I wish I had it. A few weeks ago, a family came and they had this drum, and the top part of it was split. It had got too dry and it split. So that it was a beautiful drum made in West Africa somewhere, and really intricately like knots. It was so beautiful. And they asked me to repair that. And I've never worked on one of those drums. And I didn't want to take it all apart because there was no way. I thought, I don't know how they strung this, but it's really a work of art around that drum, this weaving. So what I did was I replaced it with elk hide. And I didn't feel, I really felt like, yeah, there's a spirit in that drum. And it did not want me to mess with that, with the lacing. It's like I was allowed to replace the head, but I thought I could not do this. So I just read that. And it worked beautifully when I followed that. And I had to come up with a different idea of how to string that back around. But I really did feel connected to, I don't know how to explain it. I could feel who made that drum. I could feel a spirit in that drum. And it was most important for me to respect that. So I think the question was, is that still like a spirit in that drum? Firsthand experience, yes. 2 days ago, he came to pick it up, or I would show you what I'm talking about. So cool. So I'm really glad that that you're on, and it's like, ooh, it's amazing. This beautiful, isn't it? Love this.
Yeah.
I love seeing the joy on your face as you talk about that. Like I don't even know that drum, but like I almost feel connected to that drum, or to like this idea of those spirits in the. I don't know how to say it, but I love the joy on your face, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, a drum is, again, it's a tool of prayer. It's a home for a spirit, and anywhere you can find a drum. You know, I make drums, and I've got a lot to do. I'm not the only drum maker, you know, and you know, there is a spirit in that drum, or even if it's not, you can call a spirit into that drum. You make it, it's through ceremony. We can have it, like, I don't have it out now, but like our sacred pipe that we use. The bowl is made of stone from Mother Earth, and the stem is made from the plant nation, a tree, branch, or wood. And when those two are joined, like male and female, you're joining the powers of the universe. But you make a pipe, and it's a stone and it's a stick put together. It does not become sacred or holy until it has been opened up. And that is through a ceremony, for the first time, joining that pipe, loading it, smoking it, having a ceremony. Then it becomes something sacred, and must always be treated with respect. So you can get a drum. You know, if you find a drum that it might not be the prettiest drum, but the sound is so beautiful, you'll know. I mean, you'll know. So connecting with that drum
after
from anywhere. Huh?
I'm gonna message you after this class, and hopefully come see you, because I'm in your neck of the woods.
I love Vashon Island. It'll give me an excuse to go your way.
Oh, yay. All right. Perfect.
So good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Is there something else that you were going to share with everybody? Questions? Do you want to open it up for questions?
Oh, what did you just ask me?
I said, is there something else that you'd like to share with everybody, or would you like to open it up for questions?
Boy, yeah, we could open up because you know I just could keep talking. So yeah, any questions? Let's go with there because that will help too.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead, Gillian. You have a question, but why don't you just say it to the group there?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I went to a big rally on the 12th of February in Canberra, and a lot of people were using their drums and carrying them, and also the big epic camp. There's just great groups of people drumming and connecting an energy. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that, David. As in, you know, is that an appropriate use to be using a shamanic drum in that situation or not?
Really good question. If I were in that position, and I only had one drum, and that was my shamanic healing drum, then I would probably take that drum. But I have a drum that is put away, and my drums I'll put I have several hanging around the house that are drying right now, but my most powerful, or the one that I'm most connected to, that I use for special things, that I keep it in a bag, and I keep it put away, like our pipes, they're put into a bag, a pipe bag. It's not, we don't put it on the wall. We put that away, and it's resting. It's out of sunlight. But I have another drum that I use for maybe a funeral service, or I'll use that drum that I go in and we'll go into the sweat lodge with that drum. I have one drum that I use for strict, real important, I need to call in the big guns, right, type thing. And then, but then I have other drums that definitely there's a spirit in that drum, and I honor that spirit, and I'll paint something on, but that's one I'll take to, powwow or a rally. So I have different drums for different purposes. But if that's the only drum you have, then I would take that drum. But it might be, you might need, I think, I don't know, Scott, how many, I have lots of drums. I think Scott's got a few drums. So you have different tools for different uses. So,
yeah.
It's not a bad thing to have a handful, 2 or 3, 4 drums, and each one will have their purpose. But follow your heart.
So if I'll show you my drum. I'm just wondering if you can see.
That's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, it's got a sort of Sami weaving at the back.
We do something very similar to that.
But hang on, I wanted to show you. It's actually got my totem in the skin is my totem, which is a falcon.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
I can't quite get it right to show you, but what I thought, like I did take it to the rally, and I was conflicted about, I played it and I didn't, and I was conflicted whether I was bringing my totem along with me, which I probably was, but whether it was the right thing to be doing in that situation, or was it, like you say, should I have just kept, maybe I've only got one shamanic drum, I have a djembe and a tongue drum and that, but they're a bit heavy to carry. So yeah, if I did that again, like I love those drumming circles, but it's probably not appropriate to use the shamanic drum for that, because it's a really quite sacred journeying drum.
Well, I don't know. The falcon on there, if that you feel such a strong connection to that drum, If that's a drum you've used in ceremonies and healing, my thoughts when you were talking were, you know, you take care of the drum, and the drum will take care of you.
Okay.
Okay. The drum's going to take care of itself too. But one thing that we're aware of is that, like, there not everyone is a good spirit out there, and someone that is, say, like, jealous of you, right? They're bombarding you with these negative energy, and like they're jealous of you, you know, and they're giving you the stink eye or something, you know. Protecting yourself and that drum from that maybe have a little piece of a mirror, and you wear a piece of a mirror, or you put that on your drumstick, or abalone shell. That will deflect that jealousy or anger. Someone is you know, bad thoughts toward you. They're thinking negative. So you protect it in a little mirror, or a piece of abalone, or a reflective stone that will reflect that energy away from you. Protect yourself in those positions. But, you know, in going into battle, soldiers wear their stars and stripes, and, you know, they're going into battle. You put on the headdresses, you dress with things that represent those that are helping you, you know, and you prepare yourself for battle. So if you're going to a rally where, like, praying for peace, I would take my shamanic drum. I would take my big drum, because I need all the help right now I can get. And I'm putting it out there. But I would protect my drum and myself, and take a little piece of abalone or a mirror to help.
Yeah, cool. This is because that's what I actually wear this little tanifa. It's a New Zealand a piece of pawa, which is like abalone, but prettier. And that never comes off. It's like, and a tanifa is like the protector of in currents to, you know, stop you from drowning and stuff like that. But, you know, my intuition has gotten so sharp that it's, thanks for that, because that's what I was feeling. Oh, there's so many different energies. In general, the rally was just awesome, you know, a whole lot of love and good intention. But yeah, of course there was the government and the police and all of that stuff as well. So yeah, I ended up putting it back in the bag and not drumming it, because I thought exactly that. My intuition was going, yeah, maybe not, you know. So yeah, I'll put something on the drum as well, I think. But not that I gotta go to a whole lot of rallies.
Yourself, I think I just told you what you're already doing.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know, you're already, you knew the answer. All
well, thanks for the confirmation.
Yeah, you wouldn't have asked if you didn't think that anyway. You wouldn't have asked the question if you hadn't intuitively already felt that for yourself.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just about trusting yourself, and then maybe you want to smudge that drum when you bring it home. And cleanse it and drum on it and just, you know, in a journey, smudge it, and then when you drum with it, and journey to cleanse the spirit of that drum as well, to make sure it's repurposed again towards the healing work that you do.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Lynette,
Thank you.
You had a question. You have a question, Lynette. Go ahead.
Hi, Korea. Greetings, everybody. How are you?
Hi.
I have a question. I've been like interested when it comes to shamanic healing. Since like I was like baby, let's say. And when it comes for the precautions, I do ask these questions because I am trying to like understand what are like the origins I've always been drawn to what it is like Native American culture. Since where I was born, it comes like from the Taino culture. And it has been always a very interesting, let's say, topic that I always look at, because like for right now I'm having like goosebumps, like confirmation. And I do practice Reiki healing. I'm a Reiki healer myself. And when it comes to, let's say, detecting spirits, I've been, let's say, like guided little by little how to detect, how to read, how to learn to communicate respectfully. And then I didn't know, or like was very aware that drumming was like calling the this type of entities, that, with all respect, that along the centuries and everything, like our ancestors have been helping us. And I've been like very interested in knowing like how to get this type of drums, because I've never seen or in person or found out like where to buy it. Like how can I like take the first step to find one of these like very beautiful instruments, because I when it comes to through time, I've been hearing music like from the United States, like the one that I just sent through the link. I've had like the guidance of hearing like a woman tribe that comes from Europe. Like right now I don't remember, but I was like recalling the songs that I used to listen, because like somehow they have a story to tell. And when it comes to connecting with the ancestors, that is something that I really respect. And when it comes to knowing more about this type of nature, for me, it turns to me like very as a natural thing for me to study, to learn. And I didn't know about the difference about like what a djembe is about, or how, because I've always been drawn to what it is, the percussion music, and I want to learn more.
Dave, you want to answer that question?
I don't quite understand. I had to, my phone was about to die. I'm sitting in the corner plugged in right now.
Okay, well, I think what she was asking is that, first of all, like where to be able to acquire a drum like that, which is, you know, obviously Dave makes the drums and ships them all over the world, so you can
I can make
contact Dave directly.
I don't know who is in her area, but I could hook you up with a drum. That's no problem. I'm trying to get in a better light here. I'm sorry. Okay, can you see me okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
Maybe Lynette can we can get in touch after the meeting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and then you can get a drum from Dave, and then when you learn to work with that, and as far as learning in the shamanic way that we teach, you know, obviously, you know, I teach classes. There's also a intro, a video that I have online, which is just a free intro to how to meet your power animal, kind of like a tutorial video, with how to do that. And then if you're able, you know, you do that and you take a look at that and your journey to the lower world. There's actually a recorded drum beat there. You can journey to the lower world and meet your power animal that way. And then, you know, what I teach is a coursework on how to work in the spirit world safely and effectively in a cross-cultural way. But there's many different ways to do it. Some people just like to journey on their own and see what unfolds. I have a more kind of guided approach that helps us navigate those realms, because many of us, when we were, as we've been raised, we've lost a lot of that knowledge, right? This was things that was taught to small children traditionally, right? Most of us didn't grow up that way. Most of us didn't learn that over time, right? And but it traditionally, children would be taught that from a very, very young age. Okay, it would be part of growing up, just like you're taught how to, you know, take out the trash, make food, talk, go to school. There was this whole other part of education, which was spiritual, you know, education about the spirit world, that is lacking for most of us today in the modern world. Not all of us. Some of us are still educated that way, but most of us are not educated that way. So what I try to do is to bring some cross-cultural guidelines of this is how we can access this world safely and effectively. This is how we can navigate our way through this spirit world without opening doorways that we're unable to close. Dave mentioned that earlier, and that's a hugely important point. We never want to open a doorway that we're unable to close. So, you know, the thing that pops to mind a lot with that is, you know, you have a group of teenagers, young teenagers or preteens, and they get a hold of a Ouija board and they open the doorway. And they have no idea what they're doing. And it's horrible, right? Obviously, you're shaking your head. But at that age, they don't know, right? Because they haven't been taught. So you take that example and then you look at what happens now in some of the, I don't want to label it, but some of the teachings, some of the New Age or esoteric teachings are not very responsible teachings, because people are taught to open doorways that they don't really know what's behind those doorways. And it's hidden, right? People are taught to open doorways and they're not told what doorways they're opening. So their naivety is being taken advantage of. Not everything is being presented in right relationship. Not everything is being presented through the forces of healing and balance for the web of life. And so it's important, if you're beginning on the pathway, to, no matter what way you proceed, that you're very careful and trust your intuitive feeling. Always. If it feels right to you, good. If it feels, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that, then you need to trust that. That's what Gillian was saying earlier about, I just put my drum away. I took it to the rally and then I decided to just put it back in the bag, right? That's trusting her intuition. And there's a whole another part about that, like, you know, if you're bringing that medicine to the rally and what you're doing and what kind of opposition you'd be facing there, and you know, it really would be going into battle. Okay, so that's a whole nother, you know, is that a battle drum or is it a healing drum, right? And maybe you need you know, if you're going to do that, maybe you need something else at the rally, something that's mylar, that doesn't really carry that healing spirit, you know, and can, you know, it's just making a sound and rousting people up. So it's very important when we open the doorways that we are aware of what doorways that we're opening, and that we're able to close all those doorways as well. We don't want to be tricked into a doorway and then unable to close that doorway afterwards. And that happens, you know, not just to young kids fooling around with Ouija boards. That happens to adults that are following leaders who understand that when we raise the energy vibrations in a certain way and we raise our internal energy up, that it opens up our awareness centers and then we become very suggestible. Okay, and people know that. It's been studied, and unfortunately it's not always being used for good, right? It's one thing to raise the energy center up, to suggest somebody that their healing, that their illness is leaving and their healing is coming in. That's a good use of that. Okay, it's a good use of that entrainment. But raising that energy up to, you know, get them to, you know, become a member of this or that, or take some action that is not in that person's best interest or is not guided by the healing spirits, that's a big violation of what is right alignment. And there's a lot of it out there in the world, and it masquerades. You can find it in, you know, any modality, not just in shamanism. You can find it in yoga teachings. You can find it in any of the very popular type of modalities that are out there. So yeah, it's important to always trust that and to keep your grounding, right? To not let yourself be uprooted and suggested and pulled, right? To keep your grounding, keep your center. And if you ever find yourself in that situation, when you leave that situation, don't call it out in the moment because that can be dangerous, but just close your energy off, protect yourself. And then when you leave, immediately you want to do something to cleanse yourself, to protect yourself in a certain way, and to call your spirit back and to reground yourself. So that's some very important things to consider when you're going down that pathway, and whether you go it by yourself or you decide to work with somebody else, make sure that you can trust whoever it is that you're going to be working with, and be sure that they have that they work in right relationship in that way. And a lot of people won't talk about it. Well, there's a reason they don't want to talk about it, right? If they don't want to talk about it, there's probably a reason. They either don't understand it and don't see it, or something's being hidden. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynette.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions that they'd like to ask Dave about?
Well, I saw a couple of questions come over, and one or comment was, why paint the drum when they're naturally so beautiful? And I agree. Like, I have a drum that it has, I see a face in it so well, and a pattern in it that I've done very little, just enhance that. But yeah, you don't have to paint. You don't have to have a painted drum. But traditionally, we put our, if you're going into a negotiation or a where you something, a battle where you're calling in the helpers. You wear clothing and put things on that are gonna represent your angels, your spirit guides, your helpers, and those designs become medicine. And you put that medicine, you paint it on your shield or on your drum, or wear it on your clothing, so or make it into beadwork. That's why we paint them, just to honor that spirit and to put that power. There's power in that. And then there was does it change? There was a question. Does it change the tone of the drum? And a very good question. That yes, it can, depending on what you paint it with. Oil. I've known people who have used oil paint on a drum. The oil, not bad for the skin, but it soaks up, and it always have this more of a relaxed, loose down to it. Acrylic paint on a drum. Acrylic is plastic, so it is pretty good because it will stretch with the drum hide, but it's also covering the hide. And if it's on too thick, you could even peel off the paint. And those are things that I encountered in doing artwork on a drum. So what I use are, I use ink. Little bottles of, this is Dr. Martin's ink. And
Are those alcohol-based inks?
Yeah, they must be. It doesn't say. But they're waterproof. And the ink, if it's a permanent ink, it dyes into the hide. So the elk skin or the buffalo, it will soak up that ink like a tattoo. Okay. The drawback of that is it's really pretty permanent. But you have to do several coats, several layers. And each layer you put on with ink, it will get a deeper color. Where acrylic paint, you can just put it on and it down. But I don't like to use acrylic paint because we use our drums. And if it goes into a sweat lodge and we've heated it up by the fire, it's nice and tight. By the end of this sweat lodge ceremony, they're loose. And so they're breathing, and that the paint can chip off. And I don't want to paint a drum for somebody that in a year it's peeling off. So that's what I use. You don't get sometimes the intensity of color with the ink that you can with acrylic or oil because again, it soaks into the hide. So you have that brownish buckskin color of a hide that the ink is. So the inks are a little more like diffused. So you have to build up color, just paint and paint and paint. But I haven't found that the inks change the tone of the drum at all. So that's why I use what that is. But there are painters that use acrylic on it, and it can. So I hope that answered that question about painting it and does it change the tone? It can, depending on what you use.
Thanks, Dave. And Miriam has a question that she typed up here, which is she's saying, I'm curious on your thoughts about the use of vegan drums versus animal skin drums. And Miriam, I'm not sure what a vegan drum is. Maybe Dave does. I don't know if you're talking about using Mylar or something like that, but maybe you can enlighten us.
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I'll jump in. So I like Remo buffalo drums, and I paint them with acrylic, and they're made from recycled fibers. And I like that they're vegan because I don't want to buy a non-ethically sourced drum, and so that's where I've been so far. And certainly I can call in spirit to these drums and that kind of thing. But my interest was piqued by what you said about what kind of drum you would bring to a rally versus what kind of drum you would use for healing. So I wanted to hear more about your thoughts on that.
Me or Dave?
Well, your thoughts and Dave's thoughts.
Okay. Well, me personally, so I'll just share first and then I'll let Dave add on. So I can't even count how many drums I have, but more than a dozen, let's just put it that way. More than a dozen shamanic drums. That doesn't count the djembes and the dunes and the doumbeks and all the other stuff that's hanging around the house. And what I have found is that while I can call spirit in through and to my Mylar drums, it's different than my skin drums. That the skin drums actually hold that vibration in a different way. So my skin drums, they have my essence in them more so than my Mylar drums do. And so I still have one Mylar drum that I've had for 25 years. And the great thing about the Mylar drums is, and it is also a buffalo drum by Remo, and so I do like those as, they're reasonably priced and they're, easy to get. You can order them on Amazon. They show up in a few days. What I like about the Mylar drums is that if I space it out and I leave it outside, it doesn't change the tone. It's always the same, right? What's not good about a Mylar drum is you can't put it near a fire because it will melt, okay? So it's durable. So in the place where I teach, we have a workshop in our lower lot here. And in our workshop space, I have, about 8 or 10 drums down there for people to use while they're here. And those are all Mylar drums. I don't let my skin drums stay out there. First of all, because it's a screened-in room, so they're with a lot of humidity variations and temperature variations. So the skin drums wouldn't do well in that type of condition. They would go very flat. It's so humid here. But also it would carry the vibration of each person forward more. If I gave you my skin drum to use, then your vibration would then be in my skin drum. But if I gave you my Mylar drum, I don't find like it doesn't really sink in. It bounces off just like plastic, the way rain will bounce off a tarp. That's my experience of it. The exception is, obviously if you use a drum over and over, and I do have a Mylar drum, which I've painted myself as well years and years ago, and now that paint is faded, but it's still, you can see the outlines of it. That one, of course, has my energy in it because I have used it 25 years it's been with me. But I don't feel to it as much as I do with the skin drums, where they really, really hold my energy. And that's how I feel it. And Dave, maybe you can add. And that's why I said a Mylar drum if I was at a rally, because it would kind of reflect and bounce off any of that other intention that might be coming around towards it from somewhere else. So, Dave, why don't you add? Go ahead and add.
Well, I'm pretty ignorant here. I apologize, because it's only been recently that I found out what a vegan was. And when I heard they were vegan, I took them some cheese and eggs as a gift. Like, no, it's not meat. So what I know about vegan is it's a lot of vegetables and beans. So I don't know what a vegan, is it made from like hemp fiber or plant fiber? I don't know what a vegan, what is that?
We can just call it a Mylar drum for our purposes.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. If it's made from a petroleum product, or like it would melt or something, I don't know. But if it's a plant fiber, I think that sounds kind of cool.
Mylar is the same
I'm
thing.
gonna look into that a little bit here.
Dave,
but I feel the connection with the animal, and as long as I don't like, I mean, you could make a drum out of, a lot of people use different animal hide, goat, deer, horse. But one of our teachings is like it's coming up here, the spring spring equinox, the autumnal solstices. We take out our items, whether they need a drink of water and a feast or not. We take them out then and do a spirit plate. But it's the spirit of that drum that we are giving thanks for, the spirit of those animals and the plants that did that. And I feel a connection with that. So if it's a vegan drum or it depends. I would say you treat it the same. That if it came from a plant-based fiber, giving thanks for that. And really, I mean, you can grab a hollow log or a pot and pan, and you can drum. So it's your intent. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't really know that much about vegan.
Well, so Mylar is the fabric that's used in like windsurfing sails. Okay, so it's probably a petroleum-based product. I'm guessing.
Then give thanks to the dinosaurs that walked before us.
Yeah, yeah, you can do it that way.
All the fossils that, we're all connected. So I think if it works, I can't really advise. All I could say is what is good for me may not be good for you, and what is good for you may not work for me. So whatever works for you and whatever is comfortable for you, then that's what you should do.
Thanks, Dave. And Dr. B, you had something that you were going to share with us.
Dr. B's on here?
She is. And You're muted though. Hold on. Let me unmute you. We cannot hear you yet. There you go.
Hi, Dave.
Hey!
And Scott, I wanted to share something that you said I could, but you have to give me permission as the host. I want to apologize for all of the participants in that I am hearing challenged. And if we did Google Meet, it has captions. And I was hoping I could find captions on Zoom, but you have to have an expensive account to get that. But I am catching a few of your comments, and when someone writes it, it's very helpful for me. But I just wanted to share, and it's probably nothing to do with what you've been talking about, but I wanted, it's now, Scott, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. You got to go down and allow me to share my screen. I taught at the University of Hawaii on Zoom, so I know a lot of the characters, but it's difficult now that I'm hearing challenge. I adopted Dave, oh gosh, almost 10 years ago. He's my Chippewa son, and I love his tribe, Lakota, Kaya, the whole group. But Dave has done wonderful things for a lot of people he doesn't even realize. One of the things that Kauai needed, now I know you're from different places, but we needed a charter school, and that was all bureaucratic BS from Oahu, and it took me 4 years, but one of the things that helped me through was Dave's drum that he painted at my request. I asked that he paint an owl, O-W-L, and the owl with, I wish I could show it, but Scott, you have to label.
I think I enabled
Go up
screen
into
sharing
settings
now.
if you can, and because it'd be really difficult. Disabled, you gotta enable me, but
I don't know exactly
the
how to
power
do
of
that.
this drum, if you could see it, it would give anyone the inspiration to continue to do with what this world puts forth sometimes. And it was a very difficult thing to battle to get this. So I kept the owl drum with me. Oh good, maybe I can share it now. Let's see.
If not, you can turn your camera maybe.
Share. Open system. Can you see it yet?
Nope.
Someone type if you can see it, please.
No.
Not yet. Well, maybe it will come up because I know they sometimes take a different way to do it. But let's see if I can do another little squiggle here. But I just wanted to share, one of your questions was really interesting. Well, if I could have heard all of them, they would all be interesting. But one, you wanted to know, why do you paint when they have their own natural characteristics, or why would you? And that's why I wanted to share the drum, because all the drums I've done, I've left natural. I've done about 4 or 5 because I love what I see and what I feel. So I don't want to put anything over it. But this is one time that I had the energy and the drive to focus and go on when things were so difficult. And I was going to donate the drum after I bought it, although David didn't want me to buy it. I bought it anyway. He wanted to give it to me. But I wanted to let the school have it as a silent auction. But with COVID, everything closed down. So I still have it. I will find a use for someone else that needs it, because it's a very powerful drum, quite unusual. And I am, it says share screen, cable, desktop.
I'm not exactly
Can
sure.
you grab the drum and just
Scott, you
put it in front of
probably
the
have
camera?
a picture of it on Facebook, but what I'm going to do, since I butt in here, if I have, like, I've been writing your names down, and some of the emails that you have, I'm going to send you the picture only because it's so precious, and you never know what you may need to share with someone. A painting, or like this has the owl, and it has the grandfather and a moon, and it's the focus with stars, but it tells you the universe is out there and you're not alone and you can do it. That's powerful messaging from a painted drum. So I'm sorry that I wasn't able to share it, but if you put your address on there, I see Jimmy's. I'm writing your addresses down because I really would like to share this beautiful drum with you. And then the last thing I'm going to do is share a drum that I can show you here. So.
You didn't know she was on. You didn't see her.
No, I had no idea.
She's been on for about an hour.
She's my Hanai mom. I love Dr. B. What a surprise. I have not seen her face for a few years. And it's just, oh my God, someone's making me cry. She looks great. And oh my God, what a surprise. Wow.
Do you remember this drum, David? You didn't paint it.
No, that's not my drum.
It is your drum, sweetie.
Yeah, but Paul did that.
You did. You're right. You got a good memory. It's 10, 15
Paul did that.
years
Your
ago.
husband.
Well, what I wanted to explain with this drum
is that first drum, Dave.
My husband is not as kin to the Native American spirit, which I am in my heart. I just found out DNA, I have Native American blood, but not much. I'm mostly Chinese, David.
Oh, right on.
I didn't know. Wait till our friend in the Big Island hears. But I'm surprised.
Leonard Chow.
I digress. My husband is, he just did a drum because he loves David, and he thought, yeah, this was fun, but it didn't mean anything to him. One day I came home and he was painting this. Now, my husband does not paint at all. He didn't copy this. It came from inside. And he wanted to capture, of course, Turtle Land, you know, Native American, but also Hawaii and the hibiscus. And I'm amazed at it. Now, David, when you do a workshop with David, he instructs that your very first drum you should gift. Well, Paul said, no way. He's going to keep his drum. But 10 years later, he's going to gift it. When I found out that I am part Chinese, a family through DNA, I was born illegitimate, raised in an orphanage and all of that, but I never knew my father. But through DNA, I found out that I'm mostly Chinese. And the woman I contacted, she researched and did things. She says, oh my, Dr. B, may I call you Aunt Connie, because you have two brothers. And I said, two brothers? And of course, they're stepbrothers. And they're in California. They have embraced me. After 76 years, I find my heritage. And The thing is, Paul now wants to give this to one of the Lee family and tell them this is the story, that they have embraced his wife as their own now, and that this drum means a lot to him, but it's going to mean even more when it comes to you. So that is, we don't know how we're going to get to California, but we will be able to get it. So thank you for letting me share that drum. I just thought it very interesting of why some people paint, why some people don't. And of course, David's, if you've seen his calendar, they're beautiful drums for, some people call them decorations, but they're just to be present in your space at all times. So they'll buy one for a hanging or put it on the a special place, and it makes it more alive when you have the drums speaking to you and you feel differently when you are around them. So thank you for letting me butt into this nice thing. I really wish we had captions, but I'm going to now write down, I have Jimmy's email, and any email that I see in the chat, I will just email you. My email is real easy. It's Dr. B on Kauai. Let me do it real quickly here, and then I'll butt out. Okay, drb.onkauai@gmail.com. And I am not an authority on Native American because of being raised in the orphanage. I wasn't on a reservation. I just had no idea about myself. And that's when I met David. Gosh, that's been almost 20 years ago. And I was the Cherokee matriarch. I went to her and she ordained me. I said, I'm just like Johnny Depp. I get to be adopted by the Cherokee Nation. So I went on in Kauai to lead for 5 years, the Kauai powwow, and we miss having that here. But to be able to share Dave and other Native Americans that really are spiritual, and they have a goodness about them that needs to be worldwide, especially now. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. B. And we miss you leading Kauai powwow. we loved when you were leading Kauai powwow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to mention one other thing that Dr. B brought up, and then we'll close soon, which is about how sometimes people buy drums and put them on the wall. And Dave, you were talking about how it's important to take your drums out and to care for them, to play them. And can you just share a little bit more with the group about that, like how important that is to treat it like a medicine object and make sure that everybody, you know, when you have a drum, the more that you play it, the more you relate to it, the more the spirit comes into it.
Yeah, right now as I look around my cabin, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have six drums on the wall, all in kind of various stages. They're mine, and some of them are kind of half painted. Some of them I don't know if I'm going to paint yet. But I have a sweat lodge drum put away, and my strong healing drum put away. Those aren't, I don't display those. But I like having a drum on the wall because I can grab it at any time, or my daughters can grab it and we can start playing. So they're more of a social drum. But I do have, I have collectors that have ordered a drum or bought a drum for me just to hang as a decorator piece on the wall. And I tell them, you know, this, please, at least 4 times a year, take it off the wall. A musical instrument, they were meant to be played. not to just hang on the wall. So use it, play it, let it sing. Those are my thoughts on it, but use it, enjoy it. But don't let it hang right in the direct sunlight. Okay?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. That's a great note to share with everybody. And does anybody else have anything they'd like to share before we close the circle for today? Okay, well, thank you all very much for being here. Thank you, Dave, for taking the time to share with us. We're going to be meeting again in 3 weeks from today to go a little deeper into some of the other medicine objects. And we're going to be sharing more about the drums, feather wands, any questions that anybody has at that time. And really thank you all, honor you all for taking the time to be here with us today. And thank you, Dave, again for sharing with us.